For a long period of time in DC Comics history, it seems as if DC editorials have had this weird obsession with screwing over their legacy characters at every possible opportunity. We all know how much they've screwed over Nightwing over the years across different media, but at least he was still a prominent figure in the projects he was utilized in across comics, movies, games, etc. Go check out the DC Hates Nightwing video if you haven't already. However, the other most notable character that has been screwed over by DC for many years now is most doubtably the character of Wally West Flash. The way in which DC has done Wally West wrong mainly stems from neglect and how much they pretty much abandoned the character for the entirety of the New 52 continuity and replacing him with the Wally West version of the character. And it's insane how much they've underutilized the Wally West character for a period of time, especially with how skilled and powerful of a speedster he is. His speeds have been showcased to surpass those of Superman and Barry Allen Flash. A multiversal cosmic being named Tempest Fugnot stated Wally West was the fastest being in the multiverse and his speed was practically infinite. Bro can outrun light speed by tapping into the speed force and even outran the Black Flash, an avatar of death, to the end of time where concepts of life and death cease to exist. Not once but twice he was able to outrun an explosion equivalent to the Big Bang at the end of time. There was also that one time where his immense speed was able to beat instant teleportation itself by absorbing the kinetic energy of two whole planets to beat instantaneous teleportation in a race across the universe. Like, this man Wally West is really him for real.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
For a lot of DC fans growing up, Wally West was their mainline Flash they've grown accustomed to due to his role as the Flash in the DCAU with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
What about the whole secret identity thing? I mean, I trust you guys, but I'm not sure I'm ready to... Wally West, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne.
Red hair. It suits you.
You think? Change, now. Bye, Wally. Later, Rick.
Take care.
Later, Margie. Have a good one. Later, Tony. Why are you here? Oh, right. Because it's Flash Appreciation Day. Let's see, my uncle's flying in. Be great if one of the original 7 made it. The whole league deserves the honor. All of us. Like I said, no big... What time? 6 o'clock.
But also being the mainline Flash for many years after Barry Allen's supposed death in Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline. After learning of Barry's death, Wally stepped up to take over the Flash mantle and pretty much took over up until the New 52 reboot. Compared to Barry Allen, Wally was more of an easygoing kind of guy who was a lovable character at times. He's more grounded, having to worry about money or deal with relationship problems with dating and raising a family. The whole story of being a sidekick and then not only having to fill in the shoes of your mentor slash hero, but also surpassing them is just such a satisfying journey to go through. Not to mention him and Dick Grayson Nightwing best represented the concept of legacy and having major DC Comics characters grow up from kid sidekicks to pivotal roles that best represented the future generation of DC heroes. There have been moments in more recent DC Comics demonstrating Wally's speed surpassing that of Barry Allen himself. Almost every modern adaptation of the Flash, including Barry Allen in the New 52, takes majority of its ideas from Wally West's time as the Flash. Almost everything we know about the Flash today was introduced or improved upon when Wally West was the Flash. For example, the concept of the Speed Force was first introduced in the 90s with Wally West as the Flash. So with all that in mind, you have the Flashpoint storyline that took place, famously known for rebooting the DC Comics continuity for the second time, but more importantly, Wally West, or at least the version that had been established for decades pre-New 52, was pretty much nowhere to be found. He'd been replaced by essentially a different character sharing the same name, but obviously fans noticed the absence of the actual Wally West character. I think a big part of this is due to how much Dan DiDio disliked legacy characters like Dick Grayson and Wally West alike. Dan DiDio became vice president of DC in 2004 and has been very known for his distaste for legacy characters as he thinks they age the universe too much. He actually explained this in an interview that the Wally West version of The Flash was fundamentally flawed because, and I quote, his origin was always dependent on Barry Allen. For me, Wally West was a core concept issue. My problem with Wally was that his origin was always dependent on Barry Allen. He was never his own character. He was always going to be subservient to Barry in some way because his origin was determined by Barry. There was always a Flash in front of him and his powers were because of him. I always felt as a true Flash, if we were trying to get to the simplest form with regards to media and things like that, we have to go back to Barry because the story starts with him. With Dick Grayson, and this is the same with Wally, people loved them because they aged with them. so they feel this affinity that these guys have grown up with them. The problem is that much like Batman and Superman, now Dick Grayson and Wally West have to stop aging because they're going to pass their mentors. Dick Grayson's going to get older than Bruce Wayne at some point because Bruce doesn't age, and Dick Grayson's going to be the older guy if he keeps growing up, end quote. It's not really surprising DC would use the New 52 reboot to pretty much neglect and underuse the more notable version of Wally West as much as possible. But then Wally was finally reintroduced in DC Rebirth issue 1, where he was revealed to be trapped in the Speed Force for the entirety of the New 52. After doing so, his history became altered in order to fit into the narrative of the current continuity of Prime Earth. At first, no one had remembered the existence of Wally West, like the Titans, the Justice League, and even Barry Allen himself. Wally's former wife Linda also had no recollection of Wally, but of course this was all course corrected as time went by. Around the end of the Rebirth era of DC Comics, there was a comic that came out called Heroes in Crisis, written by Tom King. Now, here's where a lot of the problems start to kick in. The overall premise of the story is that there is a small mental hospital slash sanctuary of some sort for superheroes traumatized by crime fighting, and offered an environment for those seeking mental help for their trauma. An alarm is triggered in which Superman arrives at the sanctuary, only to find that everyone at the sanctuary has been killed. Harley Quinn and Booster Gold are the only survivors, so there was heavy speculation on if they were the primary killers or not. Later on in the story, we find out it was actually Wally West who caused the deaths of all those in the sanctuary, in which he lost control of his Speed Force abilities, which created an explosion of some sort, killing everyone in the vicinity. The reason he lost control was due to how he was overwhelmed with mental trauma of losing his family, since parts of his history was erased from the minds of many characters due to his absence in the New 52 and whatnot, and coming back from the Speed Force during DC Rebirth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to get into is a class act of what we like to call character assassination. So in response to this, Wally goes out of his way to essentially frame Harley Quinn and Booster Gold for the murders, so undoubtedly fans were really upset with the storyline and how it adapted the character of Wally West, considering the fact that they had sidelined him for decades and erased majority of his history with other major DC characters and the Titans specifically. DC tried to somewhat fix this with a 6-issue miniseries titled Flash Forward, in which Wally is pulled into the dark multiverse by a separate entity and discovered that he directly didn't kill all those people at Sanctuary when he traveled back into that particular moment in Heroes in Crisis. It's revealed that Savitar showed up and caused the Speed Force explosion, not Wally West himself. But after that, things seem to be brightening up for the character. Wally got his kids back, his wife's Linda's memory was restored, hell, he's even a main part of the main Titans roster with Nightwing as the lead. Things going smooth for your boy. And then he's seemingly killed off in the first issue of Tom Taylor's Titan series.
This is a newspaper, right? It's 90% bullshit, but it's entertaining.
Yeah, it's just as if Wally West manifested into DC's punching bag ever since they brought him back at the beginning of DC Rebirth. One minute most of his history is erased, then restored, then he's a murderer, but then he's not. His family / relationships are torn apart, then restored. It's like, when will the suffering end? Many casual audiences and fans alike will never really know why Wally West as a character is so beloved by many comic readers, as really the only adaptation of the character outside of Justice League Unlimited is the garbage Flash TV show, which is more of the New 52 version rather than the classic version. Ever since Rebirth, there has really been essentially two characters of the Wally West character, being like the OG version, like the Ginger being the one introduced pre-New 52, and then like the black New 52 version, both coexisting at the same time. It's all really weird and messy, honestly. DC, I'm begging you to partake in the stop having your legacy characters become punching bags challenge, because the way y'all have done Nightwing and Wally West dirty over the years should be reported as a federal crime.